Welcome to Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. This podcast delivers insights on what makes businesses, teams, and people successful based on real-life business experiences. Following a career with America's largest associations, JP Murray founded the Murray Company, one of Washington, D.C.'s most successful consulting firms. The company was acquired successfully and enabled him to launch JP Murray Racing, a business development and sponsorship agency for auto racing teams. Here is JP.
Hello, this is JP Murray. Welcome to episode 6 of the Push to Pass podcast. Resilient, persistent, present. Most people would agree that these are necessary traits for success, and man, you've got no argument here. And in fact, I'm kind of thinking about this quite a bit. So right now I'm reading Dan Pink's book, To Sell is Human. And it's excellent, and I'll put some notes so you can connect to it on this podcast. And he describes resilience kind of in the terms of buoyancy, and I really do like that term. The ability to stay well and stay afloat. So let's tackle the topic with some life experiences sprinkled in here. First, I think about self-talk. You know, I can be a positive person to the point of being not realistic at times. And what I've discovered is there's a value of the right amount of positive and negative in your self-talk or the way you're thinking about things. It can be positive all the time and you become delusional. And some research shows that there's a magic ratio between 3 good things in your head and 1 negative, and that's a good balance. And actually, folks that have too much positive talk, let's say 10-1 actually, their performance starts to decline because problems exist that they won't address. You are wearing, in effect, rose-colored glasses. So the second thing then is margin. This is very important if you're in business development, sales, or baseball or softball. You need a lot of separation between the task and your ego, keeping activities at arm's length enough to have it not all be about you, or self-doubt creeps in. If you miss 7 out of 10 times, which often does happen in baseball and happens in sales, and you think it's all about you, this becomes very tough to navigate in your head. And I've found it becomes a vicious cycle. Let's talk about it. So if it's all about me and not the prospect, that means every time I get a high because I closed the deal and I get the sale, that's great. But I get very low when I don't. And I get a no 70% of the time, even if I'm good at it. So my ego is crushed and then I quit. And then quitting means you never get up off the mat. And your success absolutely goes away in that case. So I recognize that my action is very much an indicator of my likelihood to succeed, but I'm very aware and separated from the final call and recognize the other party has a lot to say about things at the end of the day, and even in some cases more than I do. The final thing I want to address is what I call altitude. It's really important to combine good and uplifting things with tough projects. So if this is my bias, I like to put some wins on the board first. I mean, everyone needs to work on some layups anyway, so that's good. These things give me a lift. They give me energy. They give me altitude. They give me oxygen. And I like to do this in my morning routine before I go into big things that may have a higher degree of difficulty and may pull me down some. The positivity gives me some height, and then I can take some setbacks and difficult projects, where often the richness and the money is, the things that pull me down or are more difficult, but I've got enough altitude so I don't crash. Does that make sense? So I'm thoughtful about that today. And I really want you to think about, as you navigate success, self-talk, the right amount, separation, not making it all about you to affect your ego, and then finally giving you altitude so you can overcome the barriers that are in front of you. Man, I am pulling for you more than you can imagine, and I can't wait to chat next week on the Push to Pass podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. If you would like to sponsor Push to Pass, send an email to jp@jpmurray.com. Follow JP on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. His website is jpmurray.com. Until next time, push yourself to pass the competition. Thanks for listening.